Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Divine Healthy Living. I'm so glad that you were able to join us. You know, when we're forgetful and we can't seem to get it together, we worry that we are losing our ever-loving minds, right? Or we might feel dull and blah and like we can't care, we can't make ourselves care. We want to be able to care, but we just can't really seem to do it. And you know, who doesn't know someone, maybe you even in your own family, you know someone who's you see their lives being ravaged by dementia and Alzheimer's and some other brain health issue, and it can be terrifying. So today we're going to show you how to protect your brain and increase your focus and your energy. And I'm living proof. Stop. You guys going, well, I don't know. No, I'm teasing. But I'm living proof that you can have healthier brain function, especially even if you struggle with focus issues, memory issues. Life just seems to get out of control too fast, and you're struggling with overwhelm. Hold on. I'm about to make it simple. Get you some tips and some products that you can really use because they will make a huge difference for you, like it did for me. Hello, my name is Karen Miner Hurd. I am the CEO of Woman Wise. We're a company dedicated to helping women create a life that they love for themselves and their families, a life that works, a life that matters. And I'm so glad that you decided to spend a few minutes with me in this episode of Divine Healthy Living. You're going to learn tips and hacks to help you create um, a lifestyle that you can live with. Sometimes we create these lifestyles like, why did I even think I could do that? But a lifestyle that you can live with and have a better relationship with God, your family, and yourself. My goal is to help you be inspired and encouraged to take hold of your health and your family's health. No matter what's going on, you can do something to move your health forward. And being healthy is what God desires for you. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to keep going. So today's episode, we're going to be talking about nootropics. It's even spelled funny. You think you have like some science looking name. No, it's nootropics, Noo. Then the word tropics. And it's brain health and function. Now, years ago, I was a very frustrated mom of 5. I had brain health issues, and I like to say my kids came by. And honestly, we had 5. Sometimes it just felt like a super circus in our house. Homeschooling, running a home business, battling my own depression, my own poor memory function, anxiety, memory issues. I constantly felt under the gun. I was either super on or I would like check out in order to cope, and I would ignore everything. So I'm being pretty disclosing here because I want to help you, because I know if you've listened even this far in, you want your life to be different, and maybe you feel that way too. Maybe you're thinking, why do I have to set like 30 alarms a day on my phone? And people I know just seem to be able to go from task to task to task. That's a brain function issue, not a character issue. Certainly there's some self-discipline and things we can learn. But when your brain is working against you, it makes everything just a little bit harder, right? So God, and I felt like a series of labels. And on more than one occasion, I would say, please, God, just rewire my brain. I just want a new brain. And before that was even before I understood about neurons and neuroconnectivity and all that kind of jazz. And those are the connections in our brain. And God did send help. It just didn't look like the way I thought it would. Like very different. But all right, praise God. By this time, I had been working in the wellness industry and had seen really pretty radical improvement in my own health, PMS, my immune health, overall energy in my skin. Oh, but my brain. If only I could have a new brain. And my brand partner I'd been in the business by that time, I think about 10 years. And they'd started introducing targeted products for longevity and brain health and brain function. Well, I was super psyched um, because I really felt like God had answered my prayers. And because I had built a foundation of good nutrition, when these targeted products came in, it was just like night and day. It really was night and day. Now, our brains are under attack from a lot of sources. So it's not necessarily your fault. And if you look at years ago, yes, people had ADHD years ago, but you didn't see it to this degree. You didn't see as many people. We didn't have as many children with developmental delays, with autism. We didn't have as many people struggling with anxiety. We have a whole generation that's racked with anxiety. We didn't have this a generation or two ago. And our world was going through some stuff. All right. We didn't have it to this extent. Something is different. Something's going on. And I believe it's the way our food is made and the way it's grown. It's all the chemicals in our environment. A lot of the drugs that they prescribe have side effects that affect the brain. There's a spiritual component that we really can't deny. All right. There's stress, just the screen time, and then there's some of the lifestyle issues that we have. So I have never seen so many people, including children, struggle with brain health issues. And that's a passion of mine, because what happens when your brain's not functioning well? It affects your entire life. It affects your connections with God. It affects your connections with your family, your ability sometimes to even generate an income, and how you're going to generate that income and how well you're going to generate that income. So we're going to focus in this episode on nootropics. That is a category of products specifically designed to support brain function and longevity. That's all that they do. There's over $6.28 billion of sales projected in this category of nootropics between now and 2028. That's a lot of people looking to increase the health and longevity of their brain. Now, our brain is our most domestic. So before we get started into what we're going to, because that's the first question I get, right? Well, what do I need to take? First, you got to understand how your brain works. Then you really got to understand it. We're not going to get into like super details about neurons and dendrites and all that kind of stuff. But it's helpful to know about them, and helpful to know about the basic needs your brain has. It's kind of like if you were injured and I didn't tell you the basic way to get that cared for, you wouldn't heal right. All right. This is about healing and progressing in our lives. All right. So your brain is the most demanding organ in your body. Weighs about 3 pounds, right? But unlike a stomach ache, you ever get a stomach ache or you got like an ache or pain somewhere, but it doesn't really impact your function. But brain function, a brain injury, a brain that's foggy, can impact your entire day, your personality, your immune system, because that brain is the control center of your body. So even severe mental illness to a loss of cognitive function that requires full-time care, addictions can be related to brain health, and forgetfulness, which derails careers. Right? They make movies about people that did stuff like that. So when the brain ceases to function, our body dies. So that's one of the most important, if not the most important organ in our body. And I'm just praising God and very grateful that so much research has been done. I remember when they first did the first brain imaging, it was starting to come across in the 90s. It was Dr. Daniel Amen of Amen Clinic. And I think he's up in DC, the area. And he could show that ADHD brains had a different level of function, electrical current going through, than neurotypical brains. Neurotypical is the old word for a normal brain. All right, because not a real, what's normal, right? But a neuro brain, typical brain. And all of a sudden it came out of the realm, ADHD came out of the realm of it's all in your head to, well, I guess it really is in your head. It's in your brain. All right. And it became something that we could target, treat, and focus. And it went from a character issue. And if you just want to try harder, you'll be better, to let's just take care of this and get your life functioning well. All right. So good brain function. God wants us to be our best selves, right? He wants us to be creative and forward thinking. He wants us to accomplish tasks and dreams, to relate better to ourselves and those around us, and even to him. And when it's our children's poor brain function, it can show itself in kids as discipline issues. Adults will cover for it differently, but kids, it can be discipline issues. It can be aggression. It can be checked out. It can be video game addiction or some other kind of addiction. Poor grades. Now, I've done an extensive talk on this called Better Brains, Better Kids, about brain-driven behavior in kids. I'm going to put a link in the description box to that other Divine Healthy Living episode. But there's also much more in depth with slides. So those of you who are visual learners will really like the slides. and that's in Wellness Project. And I have the link to that in the description box. I'll tell you at the end of the episode how to get your free membership to that. So, because so much is at stake with our mind, those of us who've had to work hard for our brain function, we are not neurotypical. We'll often grab at anything and can it work tomorrow or yesterday? Because that's what I needed. It was yesterday. I needed it after I had to pay $150 in library fines because I kept forgetting the due date for the 35 books I took out because I was going to read all of them. I promise, I swear, right? Or you forgot to pay something and now it's got heaps of fines and overdrafts. And you're like, I can't do this another day. I get it. I know about it. We're going to get you to a place where you don't feel like you're constantly living from deadline to disaster. All right. When I started my wellness business, I got very serious and I had been using holistic nutrition to improve my brain function. Now it's been almost 3 decades. And it has made such a huge difference in terms of brain function and brain aging. My brain is not as young as it used to be, but I still have a lot of the function, right? I don't tell as many old lady stories as some people would like to accuse me of. It's just not true. But holistic also means paying attention to gut health. 80% of the neurotransmitters in your brain are made in your gut. So gut health is key. We're not going to be able to in this episode because I promised to talk about nootropics, but I have done some episodes on gut health and we'll do more in the future. So go through the Define Healthy Living playlist. Also, you'll have it in the Wellness Project. There's some episodes there on gut health with gut health experts. Really commend that to you. That's a great place to start if you don't know where else to start on your health. Gut. All right, gut's the first place to go. But it also means environmental. We have a story, and I've told this in the brain-driven behavior, Better Brains, Better Kids, about a child whose brain function and aggression was completely related to what his mom cleaned the house with. And when they cleaned that out, this child became well-behaved, delightful. That kid went from a little demon to being delightful, literally in a day. That's how sensitive this child was to chemicals. So it can make a really huge change. So that's, you can see what we look at. We look at gut health. We look at the environment. We look at the diet. Especially there's cravings for certain areas that can be an indication of what you're missing nutritionally. Your body's kind of knowing that you need something, but it's just looking the wrong place for it. And obviously screen time. Screens disrupt the wave pattern in our brain. The light disrupts. That's why you see, if you're watching me on the video, you see I've got blue tint glasses to kind of protect my eyes from the waves on the screens. I do a lot of digital work. And then, of course, supplementation. Now, it also helped my kids. So I thank God every day that he led me into this. Now, I want to give you some background so that it's easier for you to navigate the wellness end of the nootropic products. Because it's such a huge industry, companies seem to come online with products for a long time. I mean, super, super quick, right? There's a lot of products coming out on the market. And companies are not required to prove that the product works in order to sell it. There's no bureau, and we don't want one, by the way, right now. The government doesn't have a good track record. So in this area, and then, so we don't need that. We just need educated consumers, and companies, ethical companies, will really disclose as much as they can for you. All right. So they don't actually have to prove that their product works in order to sell it, especially if it's just made from ingredients that are generally recognized as safe. The other thing is, a company can cite all kinds of studies about a product, or in this case, a nootropic, and what it does. And they say, basically, we have that ingredient, therefore, our product does what that study says. But their product was not involved in the study at all. And that doesn't always translate. A study doesn't always translate to a specific product. Just doesn't. Like if you're reading the safety, if you're like, you love Subarus and you love their safety and all that, and you can't take a Subaru performance data and apply it to another car. It's just not going to work. All right. So what makes something a nootropic? Now, nootropics are products that specifically enhance memory, cognition, that's like facts, and brain connections like neurotransmitters, neurons, intelligence, motivation, creativity, and mood and alertness. So if a product specifically does that, then it's considered a nootropic. All right. So coffee counts. Yeah, coffee, caffeine is technically a nootropic. All right. So in effect, nootropics aren't new. People have been using things to enhance brain performance for a long time. But it's our understanding of brain function and the development of these specific nutritional and pharmaceutical products that is what's new. And the marketing, of course, to go along with that. So now there are three main types of nootropics, even though this can obviously get super, super detailed and we can get into the chemical structures and all that. If you're not a visual learner and you're listening to this on the podcast, that's going to go right over your head. And it's not going to really help you be a better consumer. There's always more. I'd like to give people a baseline of information, and that helps you inform whatever research you might want to do. And again, in the Wellness Project, we've got a lot of information there, including an ebook on memory. But so nootropics aren't new, but there's three main kinds, right? There's the pharmaceutical, and this, which are they're the stimulants. There's synthetic, which are a blend of pharmaceutical, and sometimes they'll have a natural ingredient with it. And then there's natural. So the three main types of nootropics: stimulant, synthetic, and natural. All right. Now, a stimulant, if you have ADD, ADHD, you're familiar with this. This is Ritalin. This is Adderall. This is a lot of the other products that they have. And they're now trying some non-stimulant medication because in an ADHD brain, what would normally stimulate a brain seems to calm down an ADHD brain. It allows it to function better in the executive capacity. That's the frontal lobe. And synthetic are pharmaceuticals which may be combined with natural ingredients. Now, the thing here is that when you're a pharmaceutical company, you can patent something that's synthetic. And when you get a patent, so they put so much money into these, they lock out the competition for 17 years or so, as long as that patent's going. Does that make sense? So that's what makes it now difficult. Now, if you're watching this, by the way, on YouTube or on Facebook, feel free to drop a comment or a question below as I go through this, and I'll come back around. I can't always see your comments here, but I can try to answer them and come back. So I will get that to you, or you can go to my website at womanwize.com, WOMANWIZE.com. Hit me in the contact page and get up with me there, or with my on Facebook, Woman Wise Health. All right. So now natural products aren't usually patented. Sometimes they can, but it's very difficult to get. That's why if you've got an actual patent on a 100% natural product, it's really, really significant. So natural is non-synthetic. It's a combination, could be a combination of like functional nutrition, and functional nutrition means it has a benefit in addition to the basic nutrition of the cell, or roots and herbs, or amino acids. Amino acids are protein building blocks. Natural supplements, like I said a few minutes ago, are not quite tightly regulated. So sometimes they're just ineffective because they're not made well, or the raw materials that they sourced with really aren't very good, or at worst, they could be dangerous. All right. And especially because in the natural supplement realm, the vast majority of people are doing self-help. They're going online. They're kind of looking around, or they read a book and they go online to find a product and they buy it. They don't always check with them, especially if they're on other kinds of drugs. You really need to check with your pharmacist as a good source. Sometimes your physician is not always aware of all the possible interactions, but your pharmacist is. That's what they do for a living. So you might want to do that. Now, here's my rule. Here's Karen's rule. What's good for the body is good for the brain. So that's just trying to make things simple. Something's good for your heart, it's going to be good for your brain. If it's good for your kidneys, probably going to be good for your brain. Okay, brain's an organ like the rest of them, has a lot of the same needs, has some different needs. It uses up half of the sugar, the glucose in your body goes right to your brain. Okay, I think that's why you crave carbs when you're not functioning well. Your body's looking for that quick serotonin hit. And exercise, water, proper hydration, clean food, fresh air, rest, right? Adequate macronutrients, which are proteins, healthy fats, and healthy, not refined carbohydrates. All of those together are really excellent baseline. I'm just something I've kind of come up with that I feel like the Lord gave me called a 5x5. Just 5 things I look for every day, just to kind of simplify what a healthy routine might be like. Because I really believe if it's not doable and sustainable, you might do it like for a week or a month and you just throw it out the window because you can't live like that, right? So being lifestyle sensitive, I think, is really, really important. But anything that helps brain function will also help all of your cells function better. So a lot of times people will come and say, "Oh, what do you have for?" And they'll give me that's pharmaceutical thinking. They'll give me like, "What do you have for joints?" or "What do you have for heart?" or "What do you have for blood pressure?" But if I help you be healthy overall, that blood pressure might just come down on its own. I've seen it. I've seen this in a lot of different ways. So what's good for the body is good for the brain. And that's why I start with a foundation plan and target from there, because a holistic lifestyle helps every aspect of your health. Now, and again, you can get a customized supplement plan for me. It can be as precise as you want it to be. So if you've done that, one of those DNA tests, for example, you can upload that information. We don't keep it, but you can upload that information to get very, very, very precise nutrition recommendations. It's completely free. Go to my website, womanwize.com, WOMANWIZE.com. Link is in the description box. Click on Wellness Project. It's free membership and tons of resources there for you, including the free assessment. But I want to get back to this about wellness. I've just spent some time building up why we need a foundation program. But you're thinking, Karen, I don't have time for that. My life is falling apart. I don't have 6 months to get it together. I have to get it together like last week. All right. I understand, you got to get your kids to the school year, right? Whatever, but you want something now. So just know that a nootropic product can help. Sometimes you have to play around because there's many different switches in your brain. So it might be switch A, B, and C is working well, but switches D, F, and H are not, right? That's how our brains work sometimes. If you can get whatever you can incorporate holistically, will make even the targeted supplement work better. All right. So where do you start? I know I'm just talking myself blue in the face. Start with the foundation right away. I use a nutritionalized program. It's very precise. But what I love about it, because I'm big on being simple, it simplifies. It simplifies your nutritional regimen. You can adjust it with a simple, just retaking the quiz and maybe your goals change, or you've increased your vegetables now or increased your workout. It'll make the adjustments accordingly. So you're always taking what's right for you. All right. And then we target. And we work on lifestyle hacks that'll increase overall longevity and brain function. Again, and things that you can incorporate and do every single day. So now what about these combination products? They rely on the synergy of compounds. I'm speaking about the natural ones. So for example, I have a product that I love. It's an ashwagandha, which I'll tell you about in just a second, and L-theanine and tyrosine blend. It takes the benefits of those two amino acids, combines them with ashwagandha, and they strengthen each other and offset whatever weaknesses or lack the other compounds have. And together you get a really, really effective product. So a lot of times you might read an article or listen to a podcast. They say, oh, you need 250 milligrams of this, or it doesn't work. They're getting that data a lot of times from a study. But when you're using a product where they've combined natural compounds for a synergistic effect, sometimes you don't need the whole 250 milligrams. 100 is maybe just as effective because of this combination. That's why combination products can work better. And because it's a combination, oftentimes you don't run into the risk of side effects. Does that make sense? Know that not everything that you buy is tested to be clean of contaminants. That's huge, because contaminants can affect the brain function right there, right? So the other thing is, now everything I'm going to be talking about very specifically, I've used. I work with those products and I've used them for years. They're a major reason why I've seen such improvement in brain function despite ADHD, despite the depression that came with ADHD and PTSD that I was working through combined, and having a brain that's over 60. All right. Now, some ingredients, now these are by no means what we're going to talk about now. Little or no side effects. And if you're on medication, talk with your doctor or your pharmacist. All right. You really want to be careful. You don't have to worry so much about the nutrients like vitamins and protein. But when you're getting into herbs, they can have interactions or cancel each other out. All right. So let's talk real quick a couple of macronutrients. These are really, really important, and people tend not to get enough of them. A biggie is protein. All right. Most people do not get enough bioavailable, healthy protein. And every single cell of your body needs protein. If you don't have enough protein, you can't have healthy cells. Period. End of story. Conversation's over. I mean, it's that simple. It's that simple. And if your cells don't have optimal nutrition, they're not functioning as well as they need to. And if they're not functioning as well, neither are you. All right. You're a combination of all your cells. All right. It's really, really important. So protein acts like a transport system. Think of it like a truck loaded up with these other nutrients, driving them into the cells. That's one of the functions of protein. Another macronutrient is the vitamins, is the B complex. I mean, the full B complex. That's a group of about 8 different vitamins, B vitamins. And what's important about the V vitamins is they're interrelated. They offset each other. They work together in tandem. And in your gut, there's a very specific receptor sites where they're taken up into your body. So you eat something that's got a lot of B complex in it, body digests it. If it's not prepared for a certain spot in the gut, it goes right on through. All right. So B complex is really important. And you can tell when you're not getting enough. If you've ever had this feeling where you're just irritated and bugged all day long, and you're going to snap at everybody, that a lot of times that's B complex. It's just a sign that low level irritation. And I used to joke about doing marital counseling through nutrition because we'd get the family on a good foundation program with extra B complex, and they all got along well. They weren't fighting as much, right? Because that's important, right, for brain health. So B complex work with your heart, homocysteine levels. They help the central nervous system, your brain, your skin, your hair, your nails, metabolizing the sugar in your diet. Lots and lots and lots of things are all B complex. They help regulate mood. They help regulate blood sugar. They help prevent mental fatigue. But they get used up in the body very rapidly in times of stress, or if you're eating a lot of processed junk foods, or wait for it, you're drinking alcohol or doing recreational drugs, you are going through your B complex like crazy. And your body doesn't store it. Your body does not store it. Now, PubMed also said that that's where a lot of the medical journals, PubMed is a public website. You can kind of go research medical journals there. I find that reading the abstracts is pretty much all I need. But they also help with DNA and RNA synthesis. So B complex vitamins are very, very, very important. Omegas, you've heard about omega-3, omega-6, DHA, which is a really long name. I'm not going to try to pronounce it. EPA, not the government authority. It's one of the omega fatty acid spectrum. Now, your brain runs on healthy fat. It does. That's why when people, if you actually have your cholesterol's too low, you're actually prone to depression. I don't know if you knew that. Good cholesterol is an important healthy fat, and your body makes it from these other fats that you eat. But if a growing child, a preborn child, is not getting enough DHA in mama's diet while she's pregnant, not enough DHA in its own diet after it's born, it's growing, it's going to impact brain development. It's going to impact IQ. It's going to impact eye health. So EPA, it's an omega-3. There's an omega-6. Now, I know we've heard a lot about omega-6. We eat too many, and that's the inflammation. There's one that's in particular very important, actually lowers inflammation, and that's something called gamma linoleic acid. The source I use gets it from borage seed, which is one of the best forms of it. Those are tiny seeds, so it takes a lot of them, but it actually lowers inflammation and helps focus, helps skin, helps nail health, helps your body regulate hormonal health on its own. All right, so the EPA and the DHA and the omega-3 and omega-6 together, really, really important for brain health and overall health. I had a client, she had a PDD child that was progressive developmental delay, which meant we don't know what else to call it. That's what that meant. And we had gotten this child by working on gut health, and he was very tactile defensive. And what that meant is surfaces really bother him. And what that means is when a child's tactile defensive or an adult is, that means that the body is not properly interpreting this sensation. So it might experience, one child, for example, experienced hug as pain. So the child didn't like hugs. They actually had to train the child, train that nervous system how to interpret hugs as pain. A lot of exercises and work and nutrition. And it worked. It did it. In the case of this particular child, they were finally able to get him into some kind of mainstream. And teachers won't often give your child supplements. So if you're doing supplements to help with a child's health issue or brain health issue, a lot of times the school nurse just isn't going to give it. They'll give a prescription, but they won't give the supplements, even with the doctor's order. Well, this teacher was willing to look the other way, and mama put the omegas into and the child would swallow them, would put the omegas in a bottle, and teacher had it at her desk, and she'd give it to the child throughout the day, according to the mother's instructions. Well, mom decided to try a different brand. She was going to try to save a couple bucks. And within a couple of weeks, her son started saying, "Mommy, did you change something? I don't feel as good." And then a note came home from the teacher saying, "His behavior is not as good. His grades aren't as good. I'm giving him what you sent me. What else has changed?" Because the teacher didn't know mom changed brands. So the brands really, really matter. And you can see just from that small story how important omega fatty acids were for this child who was very challenged for his brain health. All right, it really helped him stay in mainstreamed in a classroom. Another example, there's a book called The Mood Cure. If you're on video, you'll see it. It's this book here. I know the yellow background just disappeared on my screen, but it's The Mood Cure by Julia Ross. And in there, one of the things she talks about was brain nutrition in addiction recovery. And when the brain nutrition was targeted in addiction recovery, alcoholism, cocaine addiction, other addictions, but those two I remember, the recidivism, which means return to the addiction, dropped by 94%. 94%. How many lives are destroyed by addiction because the brain isn't getting something it needs, and then the person's trying to cope? I know addiction's multifaceted, but what if we can help the body get what it needs, and now the person who's recovering from the addiction can now apply all the other tools, and they're much more effective because the brain is getting what it needs, right? Very, very, very important. So ashwagandha, I mentioned that a few minutes ago. Ashwagandha is from India, and you may have heard of it. It's a really important adaptogen. Now, what an adaptogen is it helps the body do just that. It adapts. More or less brings the body back into balance. That's the purpose of it. It helps with neurotransmitters. It helps the body with stress and focus. It helps support adrenal glandular health. So if you're under a lot of stress, you come to somebody like me, I've got a product I'm going to recommend for that, for the adrenal health. It also blocks cortisol in the case of this particular product, but which is important in adrenal health and blocking damage. But it also helps with GABA and serotonin. Those are neurotransmitters. So ashwagandha can help with mood. Now, when it's blended with an amino acid called L-theanine, that's an amino acid in green tea, which is why sometimes people can drink green tea and feel a little bit more focused. It affects brain function by relieving stress disorders, improving mood, maintaining normal sleep. America is sleep deprived. We have very disrupted sleep. Thank you, screen time, and thank you, all the stressors that are going on, the lack of connection and the lack of exercise is all contributing to America's sleep deprivation epidemic. and it promotes alpha waves and neurotransmitters. All right, so I wouldn't go just take an L-theanine. Again, if you just take some of these in isolation, you're not getting the benefit. All right. Resveratrol. Now, resveratrol is something called a polyphenol. It's a really, really powerful antioxidant. You may have heard about it, and all the stuff about red wine is good for your health. And resveratrol is very good for your brain, but if you take it in the form of alcohol, you're kind of getting it's negating it a little bit. But what resveratrol does is it's incredibly powerful. What it does, it may help lower inflammation. It does help your telomeres, those are the end caps on the end of your DNA. So it helps protect DNA. It helps fight the damage of glucose on your cells. That's advanced glycate, excuse me, it's AGE proteins, advanced glycation enzymes. There it is. Took my stuff today. Advanced glycation enzymes. So it helps protect against those, right? And studies have shown increased cognition and ability to remember words. All right, really, really important. Mushrooms are a functional food. They not only provide some nutrition, they are all a fungus, but they also have very specific health benefits. That's what makes them functional. There's a couple. Lion's mane, pretty yummy mushroom. It's kind of big. And they wholesale like $15, $20 a pound. We were looking into growing some. So that's what you get for them, $15 to $20 a pound. But cordyceps is another mushroom, and I'm much more familiar with cordyceps than lion's mane. Lion's mane is good. It's great to add in your diet. Cordyceps is an adaptogen. There's that word again. Helps your body adapt, helps with stamina. That prevents mental fatigue as well as physical fatigue. It helps protect kidney health. Cordyceps also helps with stamina, focus, the uptake of oxygen. A lot of these nootropics help with increasing oxygen into the brain. Your brain is busy all the time. It never sleeps. You sleep, it doesn't. And that's why it's one of it is the most demanding organ in the body. Wants a lot of the oxygen, wants a lot of the water. Being dehydrated can affect brain cognition by about 30%. That's huge. That's huge. And the other thing about your brain is the glucose. That's the sugar that your body makes from the food you eat. And your body uses up 50% of the glucose. Your brain uses 50% of the glucose in your body, right? So cordyceps mushroom also is protective, protects the brain from aging and minimizes aging. So that's pretty cool. Ginkgo biloba. Ginkgo biloba. You've heard of ginkgo. It's an ancient herb. It comes from the ginkgo tree. Really cool tree, by the way. Really awesome looking leaf. Ginkgo trees are famous for being extremely resilient. And so ginkgo biloba is made from, it's an extract that's made from the tree leaf. It helps increase blood flow and oxygen again, can help with decision making and mental clarity, also called acuity, right? Helps with memory, helps the body with stress. So you see how a lot of these help your body cope with stress, which gives you an indication how stress negatively impacts brain function. And ginkgo promotes healthy circulation, again, not just in the brain, but throughout the body. Now, the thing about ginkgo, as good as it is, some of these are not immediate response. Sometimes, like I said a few minutes ago, we're looking for that immediate response. I need to fix this problem like yesterday. What do I use? Ginkgo is going to take a little bit of time to work inside your body. All right, which is fine. You're going to get a benefit, but I think a lot of times the expectation we bring to a supplement is we'll take it and 20 minutes later we'll notice it. Not really, not when you're building with brain health or really physical health, right? You have to give the cells time to take it in, correct the issue, and move on. Does that make sense? Is that helpful? I know. I deal with expectations all the time. I take my vitamins. How come I'm still a little tired? Well, I didn't get sleep that night. All right. About ginkgo, though, just a little bit more. The German E-Commission, that's the German Commission E, rather, is an herbal commission. So it really kind of works as a body. The United States used to have its own, and we got rid of it in the 60s. Should never have done that. But these are they create the standardization for herbs. That's what the German Commission E does. Now, ginkgo is approved through them for 3 primary physical conditions: memory deficit and disturbances in concentration, depressive emotional condition, dizziness, tinnitus, that's the ringing in the ears, and headache. It's also the improvement of distance and pain-free walking in peripheral arterial occlusive disease. Peripheral would be like at your feet, your toes, and your fingers, right? And vertigo, which is dizziness, might be related to tinnitus. So the German Commission E reports there are no known side effects and no known herbal drug interactions with ginkgo. So it seems to be safe pretty much across the board. Again, if you're not sure, always check with your doctor and your pharmacist. The last thing, and this was my favorite. This is the one that made a massive difference for me. I felt like after I started taking this, I didn't need for about 2 years during perimenopause. I did have to take the Ritalin. Felt bad about it, but I thought, no, I got all these kids, I've got this business, I've got homeschooling, I've got to function, I've got to function. And sometimes we do have to do, right? We have to get through. But when this particular thing came out, I noticed a difference like in a day or two. It was really, really rapid. And many of the people that I've had take this product have noticed a difference inside a week. And it really helped me do transfer of information, which is the ability to, transfer of information is you're copying a number from one source to another. You're having to remember from one thing to the next. I can remember phone numbers now, and I had lost that ability, I thought, which was really pretty scary, right? So it was really, really powerful. And one of the main components, in addition to this particular product, has B vitamins and some other things in it, but it has, and they have a patent on this company does, which, like I said, is extremely rare to get a natural product patent. But Chardonnay grapeseed extracts, a very specific form of grapeseed extract from the Chardonnay grape. And according to PubMed, Chardonnay grape seeds are polyphenols, like resveratrol is a polyphenol. You're also seeing a theme in all these nootropics about inflammation, oxygen, circulation, and helping with neurotransmitters and signals, right? Might be anti-inflammatory, anti-obesity, that's interesting, anti-stress effects, cholesterol lowering, as well as nootropic, meaning it helps with cognition. Among grape seeds, the Chardonnay contains the highest levels of one of these polyphenols called epicatechin, which is known for vascular health and maintaining healthy blood pressure. What's amazing is in a clinical study done in the people who took this product, they had 3 times the level of cognitive improvement than the control group, and it protected against brain shrinkage by a third. That's absolutely huge. So that I know that we covered a ton of information. And if you're not auditory, you're just like, great, thanks a lot. Listen, I've got this on video. If you go into the Wellness Project, womanwize.com, WOMANWIZE.com, you're going to find, create yourself a free Wellness Project membership. Look up brain behavior. There's a lot of brain health information in there. My contact information's there. You can reach me through my website, through my Facebook page, anytime. I try to help, try to be available. But remember, basic lifestyle first. Make sure you're drinking your water, getting your sleep, limiting screen time. Pretty basic stuff. Limiting refined carbs, increasing healthy fats and vegetables, right? Pretty basic stuff. You're getting with me about a personalized nutrition program so we can fill in the gaps, make sure we're getting you into balance. And then we target with these nootropics and then really, really make a big difference in your brain health. We've done it for thousands and thousands and thousands of people. We can help you. Give yourself some time. Your body is moving towards health and building new cells every day. Give yourself time. Sometimes it works quickly. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but it will work. Okay. And share, 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 share. There are people that are really, really hungry for what we're doing. And they're really hungry for this kind of information. And it's really, if you can help share this, get it out to them, you're going to encourage somebody. You're going to help somebody realize that maybe I can't tell you how many people I talk to, they don't want a prescription. They really want to do something natural. They're afraid of the side effects. And what you're going to do when you share this podcast with them, this video with them, is you're going to help them get an opportunity and an alternative they didn't know that they had. So I want to thank you again for joining me on Divine Healthy Living. And thank you for listening. Now I want to wish shalom, God's abundance, peace, everything. Remember, He knows you. He knows you're going in. He knows your name. He knows your name. He loves you. God bless. Again. Bye-bye.